Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Rise or Fall to talk some Monday Night Football, the last game of Week 9, and it's going to be a doozy. The Baltimore Ravens fly south to take on the Saints in the Superdome. Maybe one day they'll make some edits. I think it's the Caesar Superdome now, but why can't they put Duper somewhere in there? The Caesar Super Duper Dome, something like that. I don't know. My mind's going crazy. Glad to be back and talking Monday Night Football. This one so far, over under sits at 48 total points. And it looks as though New Orleans is not the road dog. They are the underdog. Last I looked, they're getting around 2.5 points in this one. Kickoff is at 8:15. Before I get into some of my favorite plays, some betting trends and all that, make sure you go to the website at Team Rise or Fall. When you get there, use promo code Beastie. You'll get $10 off your first month, and that includes everything. You can put the Beastie key in the door, and it unlocks everything, including the study hub, including you get some sort of fantasy cruncher voucher, something so you can crunch lines. And right now, obviously, baseball is done, football is in full swing, basketball, hockey, everything's rolling right now. So where else do you want to be for your DFS needs and even some sports betting stuff? Then Rise or Fall. And just when you thought there was nothing left to say, go to the Discord, the free Team Rise or Fall Discord. When you get there, tag me, tag Mitch, CJ, tag any of us coaches, and say, hey, I made it. Here I am. And it is all free, as I was saying, but there are some premium options, which the Beastie Key unlocks it all. All right, let's talk about football. As I said, the Baltimore Ravens head to New Orleans tonight to take on the Saints. And as we look down, right, I have my single game notes here. I have not some super secretive duper notes, super duper dome notes, but I wrote some stuff down yesterday while I was traveling home here. Nothing crazy. When we look at this one, the Ravens, as of right now, 5-3, and they're sitting atop the AFC North Division standings, and they just acquired Roquan Smith. That is sweet to see. On Thursday, last time they played Baltimore, 453 total yards on offense and averaging a ton of points a game, but that's the issue. Their defense is kind of leaky, or like a sieve, however you want to put it, but the addition of Roquan Smith should help out. There are some DVP numbers that I'm going to highlight and point out in the duration of this video. But when we look at what the Saints have going on, they're 3-5. Have they taken a step? I wouldn't say they've taken a step back, because they're only one game behind the leader of the AFC South, which right now, can you believe it, is the Atlanta Falcons. So when we go and dig into this one, we're going to talk about Alvin Kamara. I know a lot of you love the kid Isaiah Likely because Mark Andrews is not playing, but I will caution you there. The Saints first overall against defending opposing tight ends, and now Roquan Smith is somewhere roaming around in the middle of the field, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's start with the quarterback, shall we? And Lamar Jackson, I got to start there. One thing I will say, when I was doing the notes and you're going over some pre-recorded stuff, I'm thinking, you know what? Yesterday, right, Justin Fields for the Bears went nuts on the ground, setting rushing records for a quarterback, and now is when we can cue that Jordan meme where he's holding the tablet and goes, I took that personally. I think Lamar Jackson is going to take that personally, and he's going to do everything he can to just put the Baltimore Ravens in the best possible position to win. And again, I'm not thinking that these guys are chasing statistics and records and whatnot, but Lamar Jackson, as it stands right now, you correct me if I'm wrong, he looks at himself, and rightfully so, as the best running mobile quarterback in the game. And now you get a guy like Justin Fields, who's looked phenomenal, kind of bringing up the rear here. So we'll see what Lamar Jackson has in his bag of tricks tonight. When we look at that, 17 grand he is on FanDuel, 12-4 on DK. Lamar Jackson, the Saints, they're 18th overall against defending opposing quarterbacks. I know I talk about if I deem everybody a matchup-proof quarterback or matchup-proof tight end, then that means no one is matchup-proof. You know that old saying, if you do everything, you're really not doing anything at all. So when we look at Lamar Jackson in terms of projections today, per usual, 19 to 20 completions, about 220 yards. That's a nice start here. But what we're really after is how many times is this guy going to take off and run? And again, I'm anywhere between 9 and 10 is a safe bet. That's on the high end. But when you look at this one, I think it's all lined up for him to go absolutely nuts on the ground, in the air, however you want to put it. But I do have him for about 60 total yards on the ground, and you love to see that, because that rushing yards add up in a hurry here. And Lamar Jackson probably good for at least 2 touchdowns in this one, 2 in the air. air, 2 on the ground, 1 and 1, whichever way you want to, mix it up. Jackson will score twice. On the other end of it, Andy Dalton, and call me, maybe I'm nuts, maybe I'm crazy, but I absolutely love Andy Dalton tonight. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens in terms of defending opposing quarterbacks, they're 25th overall, and last I looked, there's only 32 teams, so they are in the bottom bottom quarter, however you want to put it, against defending opposing quarterbacks. Andy Dalton, 15 grand on FanDuel, 10-2 on DK. I'm looking at Andy Dalton as a golden goose tonight. Call me nuts. I already said that. At this point, I think it's established that I'm off my rocker a little bit, but it works, right? The vibe works between you and I and the videos and the articles here. But Andy Dalton, a.k.a. the golden goose tonight, 22 completions, around 235 yards in the air. And of course, Andy's not a spring chicken anymore. I think him and I are closer in age than me and Lamar here. But when you look at Dalton, he'll take off a couple times, 2-3 times, maybe if he's got to move the sticks, move the chains. So not looking for a ton, 10, maybe 12 yards on the ground. But again, Andy Dalton has a floor of 2 touchdown passes in this one. Let's move on. Which way are we going to go with the Baltimore Ravens running backs? That's been a hot button topic across the board in social media the last week or two, even sports radio. People, who's the starting running back for the Baltimore Ravens, because J.K. Dobbins is out. And when we look at Kenyon Drake, Justice Hill, we're going to get a 1-2 punch of that. And Kenyon Drake, 9 grand on FanDuel, 7-2 on DK. I'm thinking Kenyon Drake grabs this one at least tonight, and he is the lead back. 10-11 carries, 50 yards or so, and a couple receptions for around 10 to 15 yards in this one. And as we double down, we'll look at Justice Hill. I think we can use both guys in unison in the same lineup here. But again, New Orleans, 7th overall against defending opposing running backs. That's pretty good. That's top 10, right? 7 is in the top 10. Justice Hill, 6 to 7 carries, looking at around 30 to 35 yards. And you can toss in a reception or two for an additional, 10 to 15 yards. Pretty simple here. That's the floor here. Gus Edwards, not around. Bummer on that one. But when we transition to the Saints side of things, again, I said Andy's the golden goose. We cannot make a lineup without Alvin Kamara tonight. If you're max entering a contest, sure. If you want the whole pie or a piece of the pie, regardless, Alvin Kamara has to be in your plans. Baltimore, 16th overall against defending opposing running backs. AK41 went nuts last week, and it was like, finally, thank you, with all these guys dropping out, and JT, Tom Taylor, JT, I almost said Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement. Remember that kid? He was like a heartthrob on teen magazines. But no, this is Alvin Kamara, 15-5 on FanDuel. See what I'm saying? I'm nuts. My mind goes, and I just say it all. Whatever comes to my mind, we do it. Alvin Kamara, 15-5 there on FD. DK, he's 11-4. When we look at Alvin Kamara, I have him for about 120 all-purpose yards. You're looking at 17, 18 carries for 75 yards, and you're looking for about 4 or 5 receptions for an additional 50 yards. So when we look at Alvin Kamara, he's good for a score tonight. That's a nice anytime touchdown bet to sprinkle in with all your other parlays, prize picks, whatever you're doing tonight. Alvin Kamara, a must-have. Dwayne Washington, what do we got? 5-6 carries, 20, maybe 25 yards. Makes for a nice pivot on DK's, only $200. When we look at the wide receivers, and I'm going to speed this thing up here, already at 8 minutes. When you look at the overall slate, there's no wide receiver 1 stud, but I could have an argument with myself in front of you right now that, well, when you look at Chris Olave, I've seen some graphics where Olave's numbers as a rookie in comparison are basically a mirror image of what A.J. Brown is doing in Philadelphia. Granted, Philly already played this week, so Olave's got some catching up to do, which I believe he gets done. When we look at the Baltimore wide receivers, this is the way to attack the slate. Wide receivers from both teams, seeing how the Saints are 25th overall DVP in defending opposing wide receivers. And on the flip side, Baltimore 28th. So both teams are in the mid-20s, 25, and in the bottom half at 28. So to me, Devin Duvernay, Demarcus Robinson, James Procci, Deshaun Jackson might be active here. And of all those guys, you have to go with Devin Duvernay. He's kind of stepped up into this role here where he's like a Swiss Army knife. And I hate that usage, but it just fits right with this one. Devin Duvernay, thinking 5 targets, 4 receptions, 45, maybe 50 yards. And of course, they're going to swing him out wide, or they're going to give him a carry or two in this one for an additional 20 yards. Duvernay, 11 grand on FanDuel, little high, something touchdown equity, but on DK, 6-8 there. Demarcus Robinson, 4 targets, 3 receptions for 35 yards. James Procci, 4 targets, 2 receptions for 30 yards. And hopefully we see Tylan Wallace in this one. That would be nice nice 1 to 2 targets, 1 to 2 receptions, 15 yards or so. Deshaun Jackson, that's up to you. Deshaun is only $200 on DK. Are we going to get one of those primetime game kind of, Superman plays from Deshaun Jackson where he's targeted 3 times, catches 2 passes, 2 touchdowns, 85 or 90 yards? I'm not sure. You can't set your watch on that. You can't bet on that. But hey, anything is possible. Just make sure Deshaun Jackson is on your radar. When we look at the New Orleans Saints here, it's all about Chris Olave. My core tonight, which I wrote at the top of my notes, which I will share shortly after this video is out for all of you to enjoy here. My core tonight, 3 guys, my core. It's got to be Olave, Duvernay, and Alvin Kamara. So to me, Olave, 13 grand on FanDuel, 8-6 on DK. You're looking at what? 9-10 targets, 6-7 receptions, a cool 75 to 80 yards. I think that's doable, and that will happen here. So you have to account for Chris Olave tonight. I know when I do New Orleans Saints single game slates, I always love the combo of Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway. I have both wide receivers, Smith and Callaway, at around 4 targets. Traquan 3 receptions, 55 to 60 yards. Again, we got to take some shots here with there being such stud potential for the likes of Alvin and Lamar Jackson here. Marquez Callaway, as I said, 4 targets, 2 receptions, and about 30 yards in this one. Jarvis Landry, I don't think he's going to play, but we wish him the best. When we go to the tight ends here, everybody and their mother is going to think playing Isaiah Likely is a sneaky move. The word is out on this kid, and he has looked very good in spots when Mark Andrews has been inactive, which I believe he is inactive today. Maybe questionable. We're leading up to this thing, and we can update you later. And I know everybody's got their phone. You can check statuses of players in 2 seconds here, but to me, Isaiah Likely will be the lead tight end in this one across the board, and Isaiah Likely, 7-5 on FanDuel, 5-8 on DK. You're looking at about 6 targets, 4 receptions, around 45 to 50 yards. One thing I will say, right, that the DVP is like, no, because the New Orleans Saints are first overall against defending opposing tight ends. But hey, when you get a guy like Lamar, I mean, game plans go out the window for opposing teams when Lamar Jackson is on the other sideline or on the field at quarterback, because it's like one of those cartoons. Which way did he go? Which way did he go? So to me, Lamar Jackson alone is going to open up some things, and if they can get Kenyon Drake rolling or in unison with Justice Hill, I believe that Isaiah Likely won't be left alone, let's say, but maybe 1 or 2 plays in this game, he will be literally wide open, no one within 5 to 10 yards of him, and hopefully Lamar can see that, and Isaiah Likely will score a touchdown. However, I just want to warn you, the DVP is not it's as good as it gets. First overall is as good as it gets. As we go down, Juwan Johnson, Adam Troutman, what are we doing there? Of the 2, obviously I would prefer Juwan Johnson, which means Adam Troutman might catch 4 balls for 2 touchdowns. But hey, I digress. Juwan Johnson, 8 grand on FanDuel, 4-4 on DK. When you look at Juwan, 4 targets, 2 maybe 3 receptions for about 30 yards here. So that would be around 10 yards a reception for Juwan Johnson. So if he can start racking some of those up, we should be in a good spot. When we look at kickers and DST, one guy stands out. I'm sure you've already, as soon as I said, hey, New Orleans at Baltimore, you thought about Justin Tucker. Did I get that right? Like playing mind tricks on you. Justin Tucker, 10 grand on FanDuel, 4-2 on DK. And look at this one. The matchup here, New Orleans gives up the most points possible to opposing kickers. They're 32nd overall in terms of kickers. And Justin Tucker is already a superstar stud at the kicker position. So I have him highlighted. Sometimes we get in these videos and it's about tight ends, kickers, and defenses, or it's about attacking, just the wide receiver. So each video or each slate is different. And we got to look through this thing, comb through this thing. And I know I already said, right, wide receiver is the way to target this sucker here tonight, given the New Orleans and Baltimore's propensity for just letting wide receivers kind of do what they want in the middle of the field or down the sideline. I will say this, Justin Tucker is going to be a monster tonight. We're looking at final score based. I think this game is going to come down to a last minute kick or some sort of interception on the last play of the game. Will Lutz, 9 grand, DK, he is 4 grand. When we look at this slate overall, I have some betting trends. I'll give you a final score and we'll get the heck out of here. So about 6 minutes ago, I said I'm going to speed this thing up, and hey, here we go. Over 14, probably close to 15 minutes. I thank you for all the love and the support and sticking with me in these videos, because I have fun doing them, and hopefully you enjoy them as well. Baltimore, 1-3-1 against the spread their last 5 games overall, and right now Baltimore is going to be -2, -2.5. Keep that in mind. The Saints, 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games following a straight up straight-up win. Okay, we'll move on. The over. The next three betting trends are over, over, over. Over 4-1, Baltimore's last 5 Monday Night Football games. The over 4-1, the last 4-1, the Saints' last 5 games overall, and the over is 4-1 the last 5 times these two teams have met. Right now, over/under is at 48. I think that hits, and I'm looking at a final score of 28-27. Are you ready? In favor of the New Orleans Saints. They get the win-minute sort of defensive stand. Any way you slice it, New Orleans will win this game by 1 point, 28-27. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all the love and support. I was away this weekend. That's why Mitch, thank you to Mitch for doing the Sunday Night Football video, and we're back at it and we're rolling. Make sure you hit the website, use my promo code Beastie. The Beastie key will unlock everything your wildest dreams can't even devise in your brain. So until I see you again Thursday Night Football, be good, be safe. The Saints win 28-27. See you next time. Bye.